Mount Meru. Mount Meru stands as the cosmic axis in Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist cosmology, first mentioned in the Rigveda and extensively described in the Puranas as the center of all physical and spiritual universes. According to traditional texts, this sacred mountain rises 84,000 yojanas high, which scholars estimate as approximately 1,082,000 kilometers, using historical conversion methods, though measurements vary between traditions. The mountain's structure resembles an inverted pyramid, with a base width of 16,000 yojanas expanding to 32,000 yojanas at its peak. Each of its four faces consists of different precious materials: gold facing south toward the earth, crystal to the east, ruby to the north, and lapis lazuli to the west, causing the southern gold face to be visible from the mortal realm. 7 concentric rings of mountains and oceans surround Meru, with Jambudvipa, representing Earth or the Indian subcontinent, positioned at its southern base. The summit hosts Amaravati, the city of Indra, king of the gods, while Brahma's celestial city occupies the peak. Various levels of the mountain house different devas, or divine beings, creating a vertical hierarchy of spiritual existence. 4 great rivers flow from Meru in the cardinal directions, and the sun, moon, and stars revolve around it as the cosmic center. This sacred geography profoundly influenced Hindu and Buddhist temple architecture, with temple spires designed to represent Mount Meru, symbolizing the spiritual journey from earthly existence toward divine enlightenment at the summit. Shambhala. Shambhala exists as a legendary hidden kingdom in Tibetan Buddhist and Bon traditions, first appearing in the Kalachakra Tantra texts, composed between the 10th and 11th centuries CE. According to these teachings, the kingdom forms a ring-shaped realm surrounded by 8 snow mountains, arranged like lotus petals, containing 96 provinces organized in concentric circles around the capital city of Kalapa. The kingdom is ruled by a prophesied dynasty of 25 Kulika kings, with the 32nd and final king, Rudrachakran, destined to emerge when the outer world descends into darkness for a final cosmic battle against evil. Traditional accounts place Shambhala north of Tibet, possibly in the Central Asian steppes, though scholars debate whether it represents a physical location or purely spiritual dimension. The population consists entirely of enlightened or near-enlightened beings who speak a pure form of Sanskrit, and time flows differently within its borders, with external centuries passing as mere years internally. Only individuals with pure karma can locate the kingdom, as it remains hidden from ordinary human perception behind a dimensional barrier. The capital features a 9-story palace constructed of precious gems, surrounded by golden temples. This legend inspired numerous expeditions during the 19th and 20th centuries, including Nicholas Rorick's 1920s Central Asian expedition, though none succeeded in finding physical evidence. Shambhala profoundly influenced Western literature, serving as the basis for James Hilton's Shangri-La concept, and continues to represent the ideal of an enlightened society in Buddhist philosophy. Kunlun Mountain. Kunlun Mountain serves as the Taoist paradise and home of immortals in Chinese mythology, functioning as the central pillar connecting heaven and earth, distinct from the physical Kunlun mountain range in Tibet and Xinjiang. First described in detail in the Shan Hai Jing, or Classic of Mountains and Seas, dating to the Warring States period around the 4th century BCE, the mythological Kunlun rises in 9 distinct terraces, each level housing immortals of increasing cultivation and power. The mountain is governed by Shi Wangmu, the Queen Mother of the West, a supreme goddess who tends the legendary peach garden of immortality, where peaches ripen once every 3,000 years and grant eternal life to those who consume them. At the mountain's summit stands a palace constructed entirely of white jade and precious stones, while the western slope contains the Yaochi, or jade pool, whose waters reverse aging and bestow immortality. The lower slopes remain theoretically accessible to highly cultivated humans, but the upper reaches can only be traversed by true immortals, with 3 supernatural passes guarding the ascent. Gardens throughout the mountain contain lingji mushrooms and other herbs that extend life and grant supernatural abilities. This paradise became the ultimate destination for Taoist spiritual cultivation, driving multiple emperors, including Qin Shi Huang and Emperor Wu of Han, to sponsor costly expeditions seeking the mountain's location. The failure of these expeditions never diminished imperial fascination with immortality, instead fueling elaborate alchemical experiments attempting to replicate Kunlun's effects through elixirs and meditative practices that profoundly shaped Chinese religious and cultural development. Diyu. Diyu represents the Chinese underworld in Buddhist and folk religion, consisting of 10 courts of judgment, each ruled by a Yama king who evaluates specific categories of sin, with the entire system functioning as a purgatorial realm rather than eternal damnation, since souls eventually reincarnate after completing their sentences. The structure encompasses 10 main courts with 18 levels of increasingly severe punishment, adapted from Indian Buddhist Naraka concepts, but incorporating distinctly Chinese cultural and moral elements. Upon death, all souls first appear before King Qingguang in the first court, who judges their lives and assigns them to the appropriate court based on their transgressions, while relatively virtuous souls may bypass punishment entirely. The second court under King Chujiang specifically punishes corrupt officials and medical practitioners who caused harm through negligence or greed. Specific hells address particular sins. Liars endure tongue ripping. Those who killed animals climb the mountain of knives. Unfilial children freeze in ice hells. Food wasters face grinding mills. And adulterers suffer in pools of filth. Oxhead and horse-face demons, distinctive figures with animal heads and muscular humanoid bodies, serve as guards and torturers throughout the underground caverns, illuminated by hellfire. The journey through Diyu can last thousands of years, depending on one's karma and the severity of accumulated sins. After completing their sentences, souls arrive at the platform of forgetfulness, where the goddess Meng Po serves amnesia soup, erasing all memories of their previous life and punishment before reincarnation. This system profoundly influenced Chinese ethics and behavior for centuries, with temple murals depicting graphic torture scenes serving as moral warnings to the living. Yomi. Yomi serves as the Japanese Shinto underworld, described in the Kojiki, compiled in 712 CE, and the Nihon Shoki from 720 CE, representing not a place of punishment, but rather a polluted realm of decay and darkness, where the dead reside as formless, decomposing beings. The realm's foundation stems from the death of the goddess Izanami no Mikoto, who perished while giving birth to Kagutsuchi, the fire god, establishing death's entrance into the world. Her grieving husband Izanagi descended into Yomi through the slope called Yomotsu Hirasaka, traditionally located in Izumo province, attempting to retrieve his beloved wife and restore her to life. Upon arrival, Izanami warned him not to look at her, as she had already consumed the food of Yomi, which permanently bound her to the underworld, but Izanagi's curiosity overcame his restraint. When he lit a torch, he witnessed his wife's once beautiful form, now rotting and covered with maggots, with 8 thunder deities emerging from her decomposing corpse, causing him to flee in horror and disgust. Enraged by his betrayal, Izanami sent the ugly hags known as Yomotsu Shikome and warriors to chase him back to the surface. Izanagi barely escaped, sealing the entrance with an enormous boulder called Chibiki no Iwa, creating a permanent barrier between the living world and Yomi. In their final exchange, Izanami declared she would kill 1,000 people daily, while Izanagi countered that he would ensure 1,500 births each day, explaining the cycle of death and life. This myth established death as irreversible pollution in Shinto belief, leading to extensive purification rituals, and from Izanagi's subsequent cleansing came the birth of major deities, including the sun goddess Amaterasu. Mount Penglai. Mount Penglai stands as one of 5 legendary mountains of Chinese immortals, described in Taoist texts from the 4th century BCE onward as a floating island paradise located thousands of leagues east of China in the Bohai Sea. According to the Lizi and other classical texts, the island floats on the back of giant turtles, creating a completely isolated realm populated exclusively by immortal beings called Jain, who dwell in palaces constructed of gold, silver, and jade. The 5 sacred mountains, including Penglai, Fangjiang, Yingzhou, Daiyu, and Yuanjiao, share similar characteristics, with trees bearing pearls and jade as fruit instead of conventional produce, and herbs and plants that grant immortality upon consumption. Water from the island's springs possesses the power to reverse aging and heal any ailment, making the location an obsessive target for emperors seeking eternal life. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, dispatched an expedition of 3,000 people in 219 BCE to locate Penglai and retrieve the elixir of immortality. but the expedition never returned, with some legends suggesting they founded Japan instead, though this remains an unverified origin myth. Emperor Wu of Han similarly sent multiple maritime expeditions during his reign, all ending in failure. The islands remain perpetually shrouded in mists that prevent approach, and some accounts describe them as mirages that disappear when sailors draw near. All animals and birds on Penglai appear pure white, including white deer, white cranes, and white tigers that roam freely through gardens of luminescent vegetation. This legend profoundly influenced Chinese culture for millennia, driving imperial obsession with immortality, inspiring countless alchemical experiments, and serving as the template for paradise gardens in Chinese landscape design and art. Jannah. Jannah represents paradise in Islamic eschatology, described extensively in the Quran and Hadith as the eternal reward for righteous believers, consisting of 7 or 8 levels with the highest, called Firdaus, located directly beneath the throne of Allah. According to Islamic tradition found in Surah Ar-Rahman and other chapters, Jannah manifests as gardens beneath which 4 types of rivers flow: water that never becomes stale, milk whose taste never changes, wine that causes no intoxication, and purified honey, creating an idyllic landscape far surpassing earthly beauty. The lowest level of paradise still exceeds the splendor of the entire mortal world, while each ascending level offers increasingly magnificent rewards for greater degrees of virtue and devotion. According to Hadith collections, including Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the palaces in Jannah are constructed with bricks alternating between gold and silver, while tents are fashioned from single hollowed pearls of enormous size. Inhabitants wear garments of silk and brocade adorned with gold jewelry, and eternal youth served them drinks in goblets made of gold and crystal. The gardens contain fruit trees of every variety, with branches bowing low to place their produce within easy reach, requiring no toil or labor to harvest. Believers in paradise experience eternal youth and perfect health, free from all negative emotions, including anger, envy, sadness, and boredom, despite time stretching into infinity. The ultimate reward, according to Islamic theology, is the beatific vision where believers will see Allah directly, an honor considered greater than all physical pleasures combined. Scholars debate whether Quran's descriptions should be interpreted literally or metaphorically, though most traditional interpretations lean toward literal understanding while acknowledging human language's limitations in describing divine reality. Jahannam. Jahannam constitutes hell in Islamic eschatology, described in the Quran and expanded through Hadith as 7 layers of increasing severity, where disbelievers face eternal punishment and sinful Muslims endure temporary torment proportional to their transgressions. According to Islamic tradition, the fire of Jahannam burns 70 times hotter than earthly fire, and the sheer size proves so vast that a stone dropped from the top would fall for 70 years before reaching the bottom. The 7 levels are organized hierarchically, with the first level, also called Jahannam, reserved for Muslim sinners who eventually gain release, while the second level, called Laza, holds Christians. The third level, Al-Hutama, contains Jews. The fourth level, Sa'ir, houses Sabians. The 5th level, Sakhr, imprisons Zoroastrians. The 6th level, Al-Jahim, confines polytheists and idolaters. And the deepest 7th level, Al-Hawiyah, represents the worst destination for hypocrites who outwardly professed faith while harboring disbelief. 19 powerful angels called Zabaniya, led by the angel Malik, guard the realm and administer punishments described in Surah Al-Mulk and other chapters. The torments include continuously regenerating skin that burns away only to reform for endless suffering, boiling water poured over heads that melts internal organs, garments woven from fire and tar, and alternating periods of scalding heat and bitter cold. Inmates consume fruit from the tree of Zakum, described as bearing produce resembling molten brass that tears through their bodies, while they remain bound in chains and iron collars. According to Islamic theology, Allah's justice demands punishment for oppressors and evildoers, though scholars debate whether divine mercy might eventually empty hell, or whether intercession from Prophet Muhammad could save certain souls from eternal damnation. Takama Gahara. Takama Gahara, meaning the high plane of heaven, serves as the dwelling place of kami in Japanese Shinto mythology, as described in the Kojiki compiled in 712 CE and the Nihon Shoki from 720 CE, representing the celestial realm above the earthly plane connected by the Aimno Ukihashi, or floating bridge of heaven. This realm housed the primordial creation gods, and 7 generations of deities emerged here before the appearance of Izanagi and Izanami, the couple who would create the earth by standing on the celestial bridge and stirring the primordial ocean below with a jeweled spear, forming Onogoro Island as the first land. After Izanagi's traumatic experience in Yomi and his subsequent purification, the sun goddess Amaterasu was born in Takamagahara, and she eventually assumed governance of the celestial realm following the creation events. The realm witnessed significant mythological events, including Suzanu's violent rampage that led to his banishment from heaven after he destroyed Amaterasu's sacred weaving halls and rice paddies, and the famous cave incident where Amaterasu's withdrawal into a cave plunged both heaven and earth into darkness, until the other gods lured her out with dance and mirrors. Takamagahara is described as perpetually bright and radiant, floating above clouds with an idealized landscape featuring rice paddies, fields, and grand palaces housing the major kami. This celestial geography established the divine authority of the Japanese imperial line, which claims direct descent from Amaterasu, and served as the architectural model for Shinto shrines designed to recreate celestial structures on Earth, allowing worshippers to connect with the divine realm through ritual and maintaining the principle that kami can descend temporarily to the mortal world while their primary residence remains in the heavenly plane. Sukhavati. Sukhavati, known as the Western Pure Land in Mahayana Buddhism, represents a paradise created through countless eons of merit accumulated by Amitabha Buddha, located billions of Buddha lands westward from our world, and described in detail in the longer Sukhavati Vyuha Sutra and the Amitabha Sutra. Unlike Nirvana, Sukhavati serves as an interim realm, providing perfect conditions for achieving enlightenment rather than being the final destination, with all inhabitants eventually attaining complete awakening before moving beyond. According to the sutras, the ground consists of gold, lapis lazuli, crystal, and other precious stones that reflect like mirrors, while 7 rows of trees made entirely of gems produce harmonious sounds when wind passes through their jeweled leaves and branches. 7-tiered pools filled with water possessing 8 perfect qualities, including being cool, sweet, light, and soft, contain lotus flowers as large as chariot wheels, in which beings spontaneously take birth without conventional conception or gestation. Birds including parrots, peacocks, and the mythical Kalavinka sing the Dharma continuously, though these are not actual animals but manifestations of Amitabha Buddha created to spread teachings. The realm requires no sun or moon, because light emanates directly from Amitabha Buddha and the inhabitants themselves, who possess the 32 physical marks of a great being and enjoy immeasurable lifespans until they achieve complete enlightenment. Food appears instantaneously through mere thought and can be consumed or ignored as desired, eliminating all physical needs and allowing complete focus on spiritual practice. This Pure Land became accessible to practitioners through faith and the practice of Nembutsu, the recitation of Amitabha Buddha's name, democratizing Buddhism by offering salvation without requiring the rigorous monastic discipline of self-power paths, which led to Pure Land Buddhism becoming the dominant form throughout China, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.